We wanted to show you some of these wonderful 1-gallon proven winners that we still have availability on, and a few other things. So we'll jump right into it. So you can use these for, direct sales on a retail lot, or you can use them for shift ups as long as the person is obviously licensed as a proven winner grower. They can do that. So we'll jump right into it. This is Ground Hug. So this one originally came out as Ground Hog, but then they had to change the name to Ground Hug. Very low growing. Obviously the name says it all. It's a spreader. It still has everything that Aronia has. It gets that red fall color. It's very tough, adaptable. It's a native. It does get some berries, but like the low scape mound and this one here, the Ground Hug, aren't really known for its berries. They do berry as they get older. You're probably not going to see berrying in the garden center at all or anything like that. So it takes several years for them to get old enough to start to berry. But great little plant. We have 300 of them. Azalea Pleasant White, we still have availability on this one. This is not a proven winner, but we've talked about this before. Usually when I have to bring them in, we wind up with Pleasant White. We prefer Cascade, but not a lot of people grow it. A lot of people haven't figured out how to propagate Cascade. Our propagation team does a great job with it. But Pleasant White is still a real good azalea. It's one of the hardier azaleas, so it's definitely a solid zone 5. Pure white flowers, kind of more of a rounded habit instead of a mound spreader, and it does have glossy leaves. So it's a nice looking azalea for the rest of the year after it blooms, and it self cleans pretty good. I do like that about it. A lot of azaleas will hold on to dead parts of the bloom for a long time. Pleasant White cleans itself up pretty quick and gets off and running, so that's kind of nice. All right, Juniper Old Gold. That one up there. So this is our 3-gallon Old Gold. We got some real good numbers on this, about 1,500 available. Old Gold, Gold Coast, they're pretty much the same. They're kind of intermixed these days anymore, but we just go with the Old Gold. You can see there you get some great sizing, good solid 15-inch. They're even 15-inch high, a little more than that on the spread. And we have 1,500 of these. This juniper's been around for a long time. Fairly adaptable, probably one of the better golds for tip blight resistance. It still can get it, but it definitely does better than some of the other gold varieties on the market. So fruit tree, so Malice Zester. So this is one that probably not a lot of people know. We do have some availability on it. There it is. So we're wiped out on fruit pretty much. Pretty much you guys have sold everything we have, but we still have these. It's a cross through Minnesota, so it's got some fantastic hardiness qualities to it. Very tough. It's probably, I like this apple for our region north. It will do very well. So, anybody who's going in that area, a little worry about that. This is definitely a northern apple. It's got good flavor. It's a little, it's not small, but it's kind of a mid-size apple. It's not as big as some of the other apples out there, but a great apple, and it can go either way. It can go for either preserves or whatever, or eating. So kind of goes back and forth. I think it's an underlooked one out there. Not a lot of people know it because it really doesn't get into the retail apple market. Like you don't see them at Walmart or anything like that. So not a lot of people know about it, but great apple. So if somebody's still looking, we have a few available. Pisces Baby Blue, these popped in this week. So we bring these in direct for resale. These were field potted, okay, last fall. So that's how these work. So they were grown in the ground. They pop them out. They put them in the pot. They put a little bark around to seed them in, then they let them sit over the winter and they do root into the pot a little bit. So it's kind of a hybridized kind of field pot. So it's not like it's fresh dug and put in a pot. This was done last fall, but spruce can be tough to finish off in a container. So that's why this process is done. You had some of them booked. There might be a few available, but we just wanted to show you what they look like. Be careful with overselling the size. You can see there that they're a little over the size, but you're getting right to spec. That's how they grow them, and that's what we're able to get. So they landed, they're here, and they look good. Pinus mugo. So we have pumelo out there right now. Typically we do NC. Pumelo, you can see there what's kind of a little different about it is its needles kind of curl in, where Mugo NC has a little bit shorter needle and they're a little more straight out. Other than that, they're very similar. They spread about the same. They're both as adaptable, both as tough. They can handle some pretty tough situations. So not a lot of huge differences. Typically I would just do NC, but we were shorted on some of our liners a year or so ago. But we were able to find some pumelos. So we pushed those through. Little different, very similar. Make sure if they're talking, I have to have NC, make sure you show them the pumelo. There's not a huge amount of difference. The only way you would get into trouble is if you had to do a replacement and you really, really, really wanted them to match well, you might get into trouble. Other than that, they really have to be side by side for you to really see the difference. But great plant. It's not out of this world sub, so it's a very good sub for NC. So keep that in mind. Plantinus, so plane tree, pull that one up there. So yay, we're growing trees. Floor, yay, yay. So we are producing trees here. So yeah, just an FYI there, we do have 500 of these available. It really wasn't a planned event to have that many available, but we have them. Great sizing on this. Really good heads on them. They're really getting a great value for a 7-gallon pot. You can see there how big those are. Those are 7s. Well past the 60-inch mark. So hopefully you can start getting out there, take a little bit of advantage of this. We really want to get these moved. Obviously, as big as these are, we don't have a lot of room to hold them. This is a plant that really has to leave by the end of May. We don't want to hold them too much longer, and we don't particularly want to do a lot of upshifts. We already have a production line going through for the larger sizes. So want to put a focus on this plant. Want to try to get these moving. If you need something, need some help with this a little bit, you can get with Danny or whatever. If you got some larger quantities, maybe we could talk a little bit, but great opportunity here. Nice looking plants. So see what we can do. Prunus Newport. So again, very short on the cherries and other things right now, but we do have these Newports available. There's 100 of them. You can see there we got some really good structure on the head, even though it's a 7-gallon plant. It was a great crop. Even got the Long Road team to tell me that we did a great job with them. How about that? So, they're looking good. We got 100 of them. Spring bloomer, red leaf. Most of the prunus bloom once, and then they're done, and then they're off to the races. Kind of it's considered an ornamental tree. It's not a shade tree or anything, but for those of you who aren't familiar with it, but its attributes are, you can see there, it'll have a beautiful bloom, and then it'll have red leaves throughout the year, and it has good disease resistance for diseases like hull shot and other leaf diseases. Spirea Yeti. This is kind of a new one to us. It is you can see there, it's kind of a little bit unique flower. It has a yellow center with white edges, extremely hardy. This is probably one of the hardiest, other than alpinum, which is, what do we do? No, it's a petite. Pop rocks petite. That's an alpinum. This one here is very similar in its breeding, very tough, adaptable, go north with it. But also I've heard good things in the heat, that it does well in the heat. It did well here. And we got pretty hot this last year, and it did a very good job. It does have some repeat blooming, probably not as heavy as some of the other ones out there, some of the newer ones, but it does have a good repeat bloom. It'll do better if you trim it. Kind of a light green kind of leaf, very clean spirea. I like that too. Didn't notice any leaf issues, disease issues. So we always like that. We have a little more available than we thought we would. This is another one we'd like to put a focus on, try to get some more of these moved. They're in the bloomables series, so it does have the bloomables pot, and that program is recognized in the South and the North. So kind of a program that's recognized in different markets. So see what we can do there. Wagelia Sonic Bloom Pearl. So we're back to the 1 gallons here. You can see a today photo. We just have 100 of these, but you know, these little quantities, we want to see these moved. I'd really like to get these booked up. Obviously, the time that we want to ship these is this is a garden center plant, unless somebody's looking them for shift, and that's early too. So you know, early spring for shifts. This is a great plant to have on a bench for early spring, just as it starts to leaf out. So we want to put some good focus on these, get these pushed out. You know, it might go towards e-commerce, those kind of things, but you know, if you got some people, garden centers, I always heard in the past that sometimes we wish we had more 1 gallons available for the garden centers. This year we have some, so that's why I want to bring them up, because you know, we've said no for so many years, so we got to go out there and say yes. So we do have some, but Sonic Bloom Pearl is mostly white. It's pink, comes from the exterior of the flower, so you get these pink hazes on the flower. It will repeat bloom a little bit, but this one here tends to have one major bloom, and then it gets sporadic blooms throughout the season. So definitely it's a showstopper for the towards the end of May, 1st of June is when most of the Wagelia really bloom heavy. So that's when its main bloom is, but great size to get in early, and good one for the bench. Checkmark Trilogy. I think that's our last one there. So another 1 gallon Checkmark Trilogy. You know, you always remember, you know, just remember Checkmark is multicolor. So it has all the colors in there. You know, you get deep reds, pinks, and whites. And when it blooms, it's quite striking. It has a green leaf, nothing spectacular about the leaf. You're not going to really see any disease or anything like that, like most Wagelia, so that's great. But then you get these multicolor flowers, which is kind of cool. This is kind of one of those plants that could be, once you pop some leaves, could be considered like a coffee table kind of plant that could go on a patio or whatever, and look really good for that spring season when it's blooming. So we got 270 of those available. There's also others that I didn't touch base on. So there's other 1 gallon proven winners out there. So take a look at our inventories. They are up to date, and so take advantage of that. Maybe you can make a package and get it out there. You know, some 5-10 quantities to some of these people that are looking for kind of a package to get some ornamentals in. So that's a nice thing to have in your toolbox. So, all right.